Archaeologists were shocked to discover an 80,000-year-old skeleton beneath the Valley of Death. The Death Valley is located in the Mojave Desert of California. It holds the record for the highest temperature in the western United States, with a scorching 136 degrees recorded on July 10, 1913. Because of this, it is also called the Valley of Fire. Although the valley became famous during the gold rush of 1849, ironically, only one death was reported among the many who sought fortune during this period. For over 1,000 years, the Timbisha people, indigenous to this harsh land, have been the only inhabitants. Both in the past and present, this land has always been shrouded in strange, undeniable mysteries. One of the most peculiar stories emerged in the summer of 1947, coinciding with the world's growing curiosity about flying saucers. In early August of that year, Howard E. Hill, from Los Angeles, gave a speech to the city's transportation club, recounting an incredible tale. This was a seemingly absurd story about the work of Sir F. Bruce Russell, a retired doctor from Cincinnati, Ohio, who claimed to have discovered a series of complex tunnels deep beneath Death Valley in 1931. While underground caves are found throughout the world, there was something very special and unique about the tunnels beneath Death Valley. According to Hill's account of Russell's story, these caves contain the skeletons of giants, nearly 10 feet tall, with limbs around 6 feet long. These were discovered by Russell and his colleague, Dr. Daniel S. Bovee, with whom he had worked on an archaeological excavation project in Mexico years earlier. Hill reported that the giants wore pants consisting of a mid-length coat and loose trousers that were slightly below the knee. The material appeared to be pieces of gray-dyed sheep hide, though it certainly wasn't from any known species today. The story became even stranger when Hill mentioned that deep within the earth, where Russell and Bovee traveled, they encountered what seemed like a temple used for rituals, decorated with items resembling those currently used by Freemasons. Even more surprising, the remains of saber-toothed tigers and ancient woolly mammoths were scattered across the floor of the vast chamber. This underground kingdom wasn't just a tunnel or two. Hill revealed that, by estimates, there were at least 32 tunnels spread across an area of 180 miles, encompassing all of Death Valley and parts of southern Nevada. As for the age of the skeletons, though no clear documentation exists, Russell estimated them to be around 80,000 years old, or possibly even older. Local media quickly cited opinions from unnamed professional archaeologists who mocked the story, claiming that everyone who had listened to it was simply indulging in an April Fool's joke. But some argued that no professional archaeologist would dare accept the challenge of seeking such extraordinary evidence, which seemed unreliable and naive. As a result, only Howard E. Hill continued to speak on behalf of Dr. Russell, the one who had actually carried out the work, until the story mysteriously faded away. Even Hill, Russell, and Bovee mysteriously disappeared into the shadows, or perhaps they vanished deep within the ancient caves, never to return. Mysteries remain as mysteries, and what we need is a clear and satisfying explanation. But no, archaeologists remain silent. Of course, the story of the mysterious skeletons is not the only one. There are many other skeletons discovered in places you could never imagine, carrying even more eerie stories and secrets behind them. What are these discoveries? Will archaeologists ever decipher the mysteries surrounding them? Stay tuned for the next footage in this video with me to find the answers. More than 300 skeletons found under the floor of a bar under construction. During an unexpected excavation in Pembrokeshire, Wales, UK, construction workers building a new bar stumbled upon a mass grave containing over 300 skeletons, about half of which were children. This discovery quickly caught the attention of archaeologists and experts, who immediately arrived to conduct the excavation and investigate the site. In their research, they not only uncovered hundreds of skeletons, but also realized that this might be an ancient burial site for victims of a major battle, possibly dating back to the 15th century. Specifically, it is thought to be the burial site of Saint Saviour, a cemetery that has existed for over 600 years, tied to the history of Haverfordwest. Among the skeletons found, one was discovered holding a chalice, suggesting that the individual may have been an important figure in the ancient community. In addition to the skeletons, the excavation team discovered many artifacts and ancient bricks, which were collected and preserved for further study. These included significant religious and daily life items, providing additional clues about the culture and society of that time. Archaeologists believe that this area once housed an important structure, including stables, a reading room, and even a hospital. These discoveries not only shed light on the history of Haverfordwest, but also serve as a key to understanding life in 15th century Pembrokeshire. Even archaeologist Gabby Lester, a member of the excavation team, expressed her emotions, stating, "Never, even in my wildest dreams, did I think I would be part of such a monumental discovery. This area is an important part of the history of Haverfordwest and Pembrokeshire. It will surely be a special event for scientists, a treasure trove of valuable knowledge that opens new doors for future research." The 166 skulls found in a mass grave in the drug cartel war zone in Mexico. In September 2018, a chilling excavation took place at a mass grave in Veracruz, Mexico, where investigators discovered 166 skulls, all belonging to victims of the bloody war between two notorious drug cartels. This was not the first time such mass graves had been uncovered, but the brutality and scale of the conflict left a deep mark on society. According to prosecutor Jorge Winkler, the bodies in this grave were buried in 2016, though the exact number of bodies still remains undetermined. The victims are believed to be casualties of the war between the Zeta and Jalisco cartels, and the area had been a hotspot for violent clashes. Despite the police and investigators using modern technologies such as ground-penetrating radar and drones to pinpoint the exact location, local authorities did not disclose the specific details of the discovery for security reasons. This mass grave not only contained the remains of innocent victims, but was also part of a larger chain of kidnappings, extortions, and murders carried out by the drug cartels. Investigators revealed that most of the victims were innocent people, including Mexican immigrants who hoped to cross into the U.S. They were kidnapped by the cartels for ransom and then ruthlessly murdered. A heartbreaking example of this tragic story comes from Mrs. Maria de Lourdes Rosales Calvo, a mother who searched for her son for 5 years. Her 25-year-old son and his girlfriend were kidnapped by armed men at their home. 4 days later, she received a ransom call, paying a sum just to hear her son's voice for 5 seconds. After that, she never received any more information about her son. When hearing about the mass grave's discovery, Mrs. Calvo shared that it gave her a faint hope that her son might have been found and that she might finally learn the truth. This was not the first time Mexican investigators were alerted about mass graves. In 2016 and 2017, investigators discovered 253 skulls buried in a mass grave on the outskirts of Veracruz's capital. In 2011, police found 236 bodies buried in Durango. According to investigators, the victims were mostly Mexican immigrants attempting to reach the U.S. They were kidnapped in public places for ransom and killed by the Zeta cartel. The 44 mysterious skeletons found in a cave. In a mountainous region famous for its Maya ruins in Belize, a Central American country, scientists discovered something even older and more valuable than anything previously found in the area. It was a cave containing 44 skeletons. But what was most unusual was that the 44 skeletons buried here did not come from the same time period. Their ages range from 1,000 to 9,600 years ago. This finding led the research team to declare the burial site a unique treasure, as they believe that studying these 44 individuals will provide a comprehensive picture of the life, diet, agriculture, diseases, customs, and more that people in this region experienced over 9,000 years of history. According to a team from the University of Exeter, UK, the skeletons were exceptionally well preserved, likely due to the natural sealed environment of the cave. The group includes men, women, and children, creating an almost perfect representation of an ancient community. They began their study by examining the diet, discovering that around 4,700 years ago, corn, today's staple crop, was first cultivated and used by humans. At that time, corn made up 1/3 of the diet, but in just 700 years, it increased to 70%, providing evidence of sophisticated farming practices. This crop is also considered the backbone of pre-Maya agriculture, with clear evidence of its cultivation dating back 2,000 years. Meanwhile, the oldest skeletons live primarily on herbs and berries. Excavation and research on these skeletons are still ongoing, and more mysteries may be revealed, promising exciting insights into a mysterious period of history, possibly involving the ancestors of the legendary Maya civilization. 2,500-year-old skeleton found in a swamp. In October 2023, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, PSNI, announced that they had discovered human bone fragments in a peat bog in Beleggy. Initially, authorities believed the remains could be from a victim of a modern murder, but after thorough analysis, experts determined the skeleton dates back approximately 2,500 years. The skeleton was remarkably well preserved, thanks to the unique environment of the bog. As a result, the skin, left fingernail, toenails, and even one kidney of the individual were still intact. Although the skull was missing and the bones were scattered, advanced analysis methods confirmed that the skeleton belonged to a male who died between the ages of 13 and 17. What made this identification especially significant was the use of carbon isotope, dating for the first time by experts in Northern Ireland to determine the time of death. The results showed that the person had died between 2,000 and 2,500 years ago. This method was carried out at the 14 Chrono Center at Queen's University Belfast, where scientists also used ground-penetrating radar to survey the area where the remains were discovered. These surveys confirmed that the skeleton was found approximately 1 meter below the current surface, matching the results of the radiocarbon dating. Additionally, the bone fragments were found within a cluster of fossilized plant material, suggesting the individual may have been buried in a grassland or swept into the swamp due to flooding. Currently, experts are working with the National Museum of Northern Ireland to preserve the skeleton and continue researching this individual. The goal is not only to uncover the cause of death, but also to decode the mysteries surrounding the society and culture of the people who lived in Northern Ireland thousands of years ago. Researchers hope that further analysis will provide more understanding of this person's life and the living conditions in prehistoric Northern Ireland. Skeleton of a victim of execution from 2,500 years ago. During an archaeological survey for the construction of a new high-speed rail line connecting London with major cities such as Birmingham, Manchester, and Leeds, archaeologists working on the HS2 project made a remarkable discovery at Welwick Farm, near the town of Wendover, Buckinghamshire, UK. The skeleton, dating back to the Iron Age, approximately 2,500 years ago, was found in an unusual and significant position. The man was discovered face down in a trench, with his hands bound behind his pelvis. This positioning suggests that he was either murdered or executed. The bone researchers are currently conducting analysis to learn more about the cause of death and any other clues that may help to unravel this mystery. In addition to the skeleton, the team also uncovered a massive wooden post circle with a diameter of about 213 feet, aligned along the solstice axis. This structure bears similarities to the famous Stonehenge in Wiltshire, one of the great monuments of the Bronze Age. This suggests that the area may have been an important center for religious or ceremonial activities during the Iron Age. The HS2 project has significantly expanded our understanding of the long human history in Buckinghamshire. Dr. Rachel Wood, an archaeologist involved in the project, shared, "This discovery shows that this region is not only archaeologically valuable, but also a testament to thousands of years of history, from the Neolithic to the medieval period." The findings, particularly the skeletons and unique structures, will provide deeper insights into the daily life, labor, and death of ancient peoples. In addition to the skeletal remains and the wooden post circle, the project has also uncovered a skeleton buried in a lead-lined coffin, a valuable material clearly indicating a class distinction in ancient society. Mike Court, the lead archaeologist for the HS2 project, emphasized, "These discoveries offer an invaluable archaeological treasure, not only deepening our understanding of Buckinghamshire's history, but also broadening our research on the cultural heritage of the entire UK. Studying these findings will help us gain a better understanding of the lives and deaths of past generations, further enriching our knowledge of human history." The 215 child skeletons found beneath a boarding school in Canada. On May 28th, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau shared heartbreaking news that shocked and saddened the nation. 215 children's remains were discovered on the grounds of the former Kamloops Indian Residential School in British Columbia. These children were students of the school, which operated until it closed in 1978. On Twitter, Trudeau expressed his sorrow, saying, "This news breaks my heart. It is a pain that reminds us of a dark and shameful chapter in our country's history." The discovery was made using ground-penetrating radar technology, which allowed experts to detect burial sites that were previously invisible to the naked eye. The Tecumlup's T. Sequep MC First Nation, a tribe with strong ties to the Kamloops School, stated that this was an unfathomable loss, as there had been rumors of such events but no clear records. What makes this discovery even more tragic is that it is not the first time Canada has faced the painful legacy of the residential school system for Indigenous people. In 2015, a 6-year investigation concluded that Canada's residential school system, which forcibly separated many Indigenous children from their families and communities, had caused a cultural genocide. According to the investigation's report, over 4,100 children died during their time in these schools, but the deaths of the 215 children at Kamloops were not mentioned in the investigation, increasing the sorrow and anger felt by Indigenous communities and the broader Canadian society. This revelation once again highlights the profound trauma that Indigenous people have suffered for decades. Although the Canadian government formally apologized for the residential school system in 2008, this new discovery shows that the pain and loss experienced by Indigenous families have not been fully addressed. The Tecumlup's T. Sequep MC First Nation has since begun working with investigative experts and reaching out to families whose children attended Kamloops to gather information and publish preliminary results soon. These efforts will not only help shed light on a part of Canada's dark history, but also offer an opportunity for the Indigenous community to seek justice and truth for the lost children. The pain cannot be erased, but this is an important step forward in the journey toward healing and reparations for the suffering they have endured for so many years. The skeleton of a woman buried in a wooden canoe nearly 900 years ago. Recently, archaeologists discovered a fascinating skeleton buried in a wooden canoe at the Nuin-Ontug burial site of the Mapuche people, located in the Chapelco Mountains of Patagonia, Argentina. This find is estimated to be nearly 900 years old and is likely the earliest known example of canoe burials in South America. After analysis, the archaeologists confirmed that the remains belonged to a young woman who passed away between the ages of 17 and 25. While the cause of her death remains undetermined, the discovery of her burial, along with a rich collection of artifacts including a ceramic vessel and nearly a dozen freshwater mollusk shells, surprised the researchers. One of the most striking aspects of the discovery was the wooden canoe, made from a Chilean cedar tree and hollowed out by fire. Nearly 600 pieces of charred wood were found at the excavation site, indicating that the canoe played a significant role in the burial ritual. Using radiocarbon dating on the bones, the researchers concluded that the woman died around the year 1142, suggesting she was likely a member of the Mapuche civilization, the largest indigenous group in South America. This discovery challenges previous theories that canoe burials only began during the Spanish colonial period. In fact, the practice of using canoes in burial rites dates back to pre-colonial times and was an integral part of South American indigenous traditions. This finding further highlights the Mapuche culture's unique beliefs and practices long before the arrival of Europeans. Notably, this discovery also evokes comparisons to other cultures around the world, particularly the Vikings, who were known for burying warriors and leaders in longboats. However, the key difference in the Nuin-Ontug discovery is that the canoe was believed to aid the soul's journey to the afterlife. The artifacts found inside the canoe may have been offerings to a mythical figure known as the canoe guide, who helped the soul navigate the dangerous journey. This figure was rewarded with lanka, a highly valuable blue stone. Stone Age skeletons found in a mass grave. 7 human skeletons, 2 male, 1 female, 3 children, 1 infant skull, and several broken hand bones, along with a number of disarticulated arm bones, were recently discovered by archaeologists in Bergheim, France, in an ancient mass grave. This chilling discovery has unveiled secrets about the violence that existed 6,000 years ago. A report about the find, published in the December issue of the archaeological journal Antiquity, stated that the people in the grave were likely killed in an attack or skirmish and then buried in the pit, where several severed left arms, chopped off with axes or sharp weapons, were already placed. The identities of the owners of the severed arms are still unclear. All the skeletons had their arms intact, except for 1 male skeleton with a skull damaged by a strong blow. This skeleton was missing the left arm, but researchers have not yet determined whether the missing arm was among the remains in the grave. Archaeologist Fanny Chanal, from the Antia Archaeological Institute in Hobsheim, and her team are unsure whether the perpetrators targeted the left arm for any specific reason, but they hypothesize that the severed left arms might have been considered war trophies. Fragments of hand bones scattered at the bottom of the grave suggest that the hands from the severed arms were deliberately mutilated. Radiocarbon dating of the bones indicates that the people in the grave lived about 6,000 years ago, during the Neolithic period. During this time, people from agricultural communities were typically buried in round-mouthed pits. However, the Bergheim discovery provides the first evidence that those who died in confrontations during this period were also buried in such pits. This is an important finding, raising more questions than answers. Before this discovery, the nature of Neolithic mass graves had remained shrouded in mystery. Many scientists believe the pits were remnants of storage silos, later repurposed for burials. Others suggested that the pits were dug as graves for high-status individuals, with their servants and relatives being killed to accompany them. Another theory posits that slaves may have been killed and buried in the pits as offerings to the gods. Alongside the skeletons, several artifacts were discovered, including a piece of shell jewelry, a stone spear point, a pig's jawbone, and 2 rabbit skeletons, items that seem fitting for ritual offerings. It is difficult to say which hypothesis is the most accurate in this case. Can you guess? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video today. If you enjoyed it and found it interesting, please feel free to give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, goodbye and see you soon.